Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
First, let me say it's so wonderful to be here and to see so many faces that I haven't seen in a long time, and also to see everyone that has come out for all of the families of Port Norris. I'm really happy to be here today representing our family in honor of our father, Charles Amos, aka Mule. Everybody knew him as Mule.
Amen.
Camper. First, I want to thank the Port Norris Historical Society for giving this honor to our father. And next, I want to thank our family and friends for being here from near and far. And when I tell you that they came far, they come here from Kentucky, from Georgia, from Delaware, Pennsylvania. I mean, to have family come out and support in honor of something like this that is not us going up and seeing somebody laid out.
Amen.
That's what makes this so very special. Both Dad and Mom would be really proud to see us coming together for a special event like this to honor one of us. So I want to start out by saying that dads are ordinary men who are not perfect, but turned by love into heroes, adventurers, caregivers, providers, and eventually, they will be friends. This and more is what our dad was to us. But I want to tell you in the short time that I have the story of Charles Amos Camper. He was born in Cambridge, Maryland in 1913 to Nettie Wright and Edward Green. He would be 110 years old today. He had a grade school education, but life gave him a PhD. Mr. Mule, by many, is what he was called. A lot more called him Pop. Everybody I know really loved our father, but more than anything, our father led by example. He would give you the shirt off his back, and if he was with you, he was with you for the long haul. But don't let him lose trust in you. It was hard to get it back. He served in the Army during World War II. I used to ask him, Dad, did you serve in World War I? And he would say, Sugar, how old do you think I am? He was a heavy truck driver and a crane operator. He was a rifle marksman. Dad loved guns. He received the Asiatic Pacific Service Medal and Good Conduct Medals. And he received an honorary discharge on November 8, 1945, as a sergeant. Can you imagine that back in the day, what he had to likely endure as a black man serving, and yet my father loved this country. He would always salute the flag. I find myself doing the same thing. Every time I hear the anthem, I well up with tears. And I think about my dad, all the men and women that have served, my two sons, and my grandson that have served. He would always salute the flag, and he had this saying from when he served. He would always say, cross your bloody chest, the big boys are coming. And every time he would say that, we would just fall out laughing. He married our mom in 1959, and they purchased their home on 17 Cobb Street. It's now known as Brown Street something something. To me, it will always be 17 Cobb Street. On October 8, 1965. It is the only home that our family has known. And that's not something that a lot of us can say today. We grew up there and have many memories that are treasured from us, and we will always know it as 17 Cobb Street. So now I'm going to segue a little bit and talk about his work. Our dad worked. He started somewhere between 1946 and 1947 because he got out of the service in 1945 for D'Agostino's transfer. And I was talking to Charles, and Charles was saying, what is it that really makes a legend? What is it that makes an icon? Well, for one thing, my dad was the first driver for D'Agostino's transfer outside of the family. He was the first driver to haul oysters across country. The first. He drove long distance to Omaha, Nebraska without a GPS. How about that? His truck numbers span many, but it started, Charles, I hope I have this right, it started with number 32. He had number 32, number 42, 64, 118, 142, 154, 160, 166. The last one that I remember was 204. And you couldn't tell my father nothing about D'Agostino's transfer. He taught many of the young guys how to drive those 18-wheelers, some of which are in this room today. My brother Patrick drives an 18-wheeler. I thought I was going to be a trucker. I mean, I really did. I loved going on the truck with my dad, hopping into the back of where they closed the curtains and you could see the bed, and I'd turn the light on and, I was reading, because that was what I did. I want to say that Cold Duck, if any of you remember, Cold Duck was his CB hand. He had hands that were larger than Muhammad Ali's. And he had 9.5 fingers because he lost half a finger during the war. We wanted for absolutely nothing. He bought my mom a new Electra 225, aka deuce and a quarter, every 3 years. He wanted only mobile gas and oil, and the car couldn't go below half a tank or else he would have a fit. I thought that we were slightly rich because Dad made such a good living with D'Agostino's transfer. He was a man's man. He was tough. I only saw him cry 3 times. When his son, Randolph, aka Sonny Boy, was lost at sea. When his mother died. And once when he was in pain, so much pain from treatment for his prostate cancer. When my dad passed, the mail and wire messages, there was no internet back then. The mail and wire messages came from everywhere. I remember that messages and wires came in from Omaha, Nebraska, and everywhere in between there and New Jersey. See, he would say that you could talk to anyone, anywhere, regardless of color, socioeconomic status, or anything else. You just had to be real. You had to be your true, authentic self. This is back in the day that he was talking about that, and we're still talking about that today. And I'm so grateful that I got his gift of gab. He found his half-sister in Glenburnie, Maryland, named Evelyn Green White. By the way, she's still living today. She's 102 years old. And I spoke with her this week and asked her if she remembered when she first met Dad. And she said, "Oh, honey, I do. I sure do. He was driving a truck from somebody." And he said that he had heard that he had a beautiful sister and several brothers, and that they had the same father. This was before their father, Eddie Green, married their mother. So through that reunion, he gained a sister and 2 additional brothers, in addition to his brother, Uncle Mister, who lived in Port Norris. And I want to thank Uncle Mister's children, our first cousins, for being here today. I'm thankful to have gained so much, all of us, from our dad. Stories of how he helped people. And I just want to quickly tell you a couple of local stories. My grandmother, Mary Marie Elizabeth Handy Heyman, most knew her as Marie Heyman, found her birth mother, Minnie Handy, in 1957 because her son-in-law, our dad, discovered her through his family, who also lived in Baltimore. It was my dad, my mom, and our cousin, Maribel Heyman, who investigated and knew more of this story and initiated that reunion. My dad was also part of the story to reunite my Uncle Roosevelt with our grandmother, Marie Heyman, because of his travels and meeting people. And one more story of how he was known. It was after my senior prom, and I was coming back from Atlantic City. Car was stopped. We were in Dad's car, the Deuce and a Quarter. It was blue, light blue Deuce and a Quarter with the wings on the back. And the police officer looked at the car credentials and asked me, "You're Charles Mule Camper's daughter?" And I said, yes I am. And he said, "That's a good man. You don't want to be in trouble with him, so you slow this car down and get on home." I will never, ever forget that. So I close this with, as you heard, our dad has a shine that surrounded him, a shine that will last forever. Our father to us was Father of the Year, Father of the Decade, Father of the Country, and Daddy of a lifetime. He had an amazing work ethic and grind, and every single one of us got that. No matter what, through whatever storm, Daddy held it together. And he died on December 12th, 1991. Though he had prostate cancer, he died from a massive heart attack on his way to the bathroom. So honoring him today means the world, not just to me, but my sisters and brothers, also to his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren. Let me tell you right now, it's great-grandchildren. And there are signs of our Father in all of them. So I just want to once again thank you so much. Daddy, you were amazing. We salute you, Charles Amos Mule Camper.
Amen.